We know that there are many versions of the Matrix. We've talked about them many times before. Earlier versions of the simulation that did not yield the results the architect was expecting. They failed in hiding the truth from the humans. Many of you have asked us to talk more in depth about these failed simulations, and so we will happily oblige. So today's video will be dedicated to the first true version of the Matrix, the Paradise Matrix. Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Before we begin today's video, we would like to proudly announce Matrix Explained memberships. Members will unlock badges and emojis for live chat and video premieres, alongside other benefits such as early access to videos and more, with other benefits being added in the near future. This directly helps us to continue to make content for all Matrix fans. So please join us and enjoy today's video. The first time we've ever heard about this Paradise Matrix was in the first Matrix film, courtesy of Agent Smith.
Did you know that the first Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy? It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering. The perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from, which is why the Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization.
Smith goes on talking about how the first Matrix was a disaster, how millions of humans lost their lives. Some of them may have died on exit or out in the real world. But why did the paradise failed? A paradise is a perfect world, an abstract thought. It is also subjective. Each person's vision of a paradise is different. Surely my vision of a paradise greatly differs from yours. The machines did create a paradise for many, but not for all. Those who did not share in the opinion of what is a paradise rejected it. There is no one paradise that everyone can agree with. The machines designed the Paradise Matrix based on a common preconception of what most humans consider to be a perfect world. Most, not all. This is also an allegory to Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve lived in a paradise, but they were told not to eat the apple. Yet they were enticed by a serpent to take a bite of the forbidden fruit, and they did. Thus, they were expelled from paradise. The same happens with the red pills in the Matrix. They are offered a chance to see the truth. They take the red pill and are expelled from the Matrix. But Smith attributes the disaster of paradise to something more primitive. According to him, humans define their reality with suffering. What Smith is saying is in response to the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer. For Schopenhauer, pleasant experiences leave no trace and immediately lead to anxiety or boredom if another pleasant experience is not achieved, while pain and failures mark our lives. That is to say, pain is the true driver of life. Pain produces the desire, the non-achievement of a goal, or the absence of the material or the immaterial. But how can we ease the suffering due to this dissatisfaction? The pleasure of the achievement antagonizes the pain. It relieves it, but only temporarily, resulting in even more pain, like trying to quench your thirst with seawater. It just makes you more thirsty. To a large extent, his thoughts are imbued and influenced by Buddhist philosophies. Schopenhauer believed that the only way to overcome this suffering of existence, this valley of tears, is to renounce desire, intention, and will, to force oneself not to be dragged into the innate tendency to consume materialism. Interestingly enough, this renunciation of desire happens to Neo when he finally accepts determinism and allows himself to be assimilated by Agent Smith. The second time we hear about the Paradise Matrix is from the architect.
The first Matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless, sublime. a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being. Thus I redesigned it, based on your history, to more accurately reflect the varying grotesqueries of your nature.
So the architect defined the first simulation as a work of art. However, this paradise presented a serious problem when humans began to live in it. According to the father of the Matrix, the problem was of human imperfection, a problem that the Oracle would later solve. But what was the first Matrix like? The Paradise Matrix was, by design, a place created to maximize pleasure, happiness, and the well-being of humans. Imagine you living the happiest day of your life every day, a world without suffering. This version of the Matrix did appear in one of the shorts of the Animatrix. A child is running towards his house on Christmas Day. His parents were waiting for him at the door while he was running through the snow. Without a doubt, this scene does reflect happiness, though by the end, you can see who the child's parents were. They were agents. The agents of the Paradise Matrix were much different from those in Neo's version of the Matrix. They were often mistaken for angels, as they shared an uncanny resemblance. Seraph is believed to be one of these angel-like agents with wings, but at some point in time, he lost his wings. This was referenced in Matrix Revolutions, when one of the Merovingian's henchmen called him wingless.
Gotta be kidding. Holy shit, it's wingless.
There are theories that the Merovingian was actually born in this version of the Matrix, and then he became an exile for unknown reasons. His story deserves its own video, but if he was born in the Paradise Matrix, then we could understand why he has so much influence over the other programs. He is not just one of the oldest programs, but the oldest of the exiles. In the Paradise Matrix, there were no red pills, no anomalies, or prophecies of a supposed one. The Oracle, nor the cycle of destruction of Zion existed. It was a reality of peace, but not every human could accept it. Even if we are experiencing a moment of pure bliss, it's never enough. It will always feel incomplete. This is sadly common within the human psyche. We feel that something is off, that maybe we don't deserve to be happy, that something feels unreal. Obviously, this is more of an emotional than a rational reaction. The architect couldn't predict this outcome of human behavior. He could not stop them from realizing the truth. In an attempt to salvage the simulation, the architect restarted the Matrix with a much less happier demeanor, the Nightmare Matrix. But did it yield a better result? We will find out in a future video. But do you agree? Are we all destined to never experience true happiness? Can we even comprehend what true happiness is? Why did the Paradise Matrix fail? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.